what I was thinking about all afternoon after having read that and trying to think of what the situation was, is that I think that what they are trying to do is deliberately conflate two separate things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to be sure that this conversation, so much as possible, recognizes this distinction, and we understand when we're talking about one thing and when we're talking about another. It's conflating, and I think it could be a deliberate obfuscation between the status of 1.0a and what it means, what its legal status is, and then as a separate thing, whether or not what they put out for what they're calling 1.2 is actually a good license that you should sign, or that you could build a business on, or just that you should sign in general if you want to use the 6th edition 1 D&D, whatever they're calling it, material.
Yeah, right.
And I think that started yesterday, actually. Find the right window. Okay, so this was yesterday's announcement. This is where I've got all my windows stacked up. We have 200 people here. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. This is fantastic. So this was yesterday's announcement, and I put out this kind of warning that I thought this was kind of the stuff that was going to happen when I saw this language right here. Oh, right up here. Any changes to the OGL will have no impact on at least these creative efforts. And he uses the word change right here. But there is no mechanism to change the OGL. What does it mean to change the OGL? As far as, there's no mechanism by which to change it. This is the OGL over here, which is on the opengamingfoundation.org site, which Ryan Dancy put up. So we can access it here. And of course, it's in the backs of all of our books. We do have Section 9, which refers to updating the license. Wizards or its designated agents may publish updated versions of this license. You may use any authorized version of this license to copy. You may use any authorized version of this license to copy, modify, and distribute any open game content originally distributed under any version of this license. So we knew it could be updated, and we understand the terms under which it could be updated. So an update is not something we would not expect, or would be completely out of the ordinary.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking about hey, we're going to change this, that's not something that we can do. Mm-hmm. And I think that wording, it's Weasley when he was talking about changes. Is that...
yeah, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, so I think you get into some of these things where there are certain words and phrases that have very specific meanings in law, right? So updates are changes that don't require a change to the established centralized contract terms and conditions. So, you could argue there that any of these changes that they're creating represent fall outside the realm of actual updates. They're really not making updates. They're completely making a new contract, right?
I agree. It seems like if I were writing this and I were being straight and I was trying to be as straight as possible about what was going on, then I would have deliberately not included this word change. I would have talked about updates, because then I would be very clearly referencing, I would think, that Section 9 and saying this is what we're doing. And I wouldn't be talking about change. There are a couple of other places where they talk about some type of new OGL, but if it's going to be an update, then it is this update. So Joseph Carter agrees. It's absolutely deliberate obfuscation. Nope. And I see your note about the super chat. No problem, Joseph. So I think they're trying to hide. I think they're trying to blur that boundary. I think they know they have a problem with, in their opinion, that they think they have a problem with regard to how they want to make money going forward with this new D&D brand. They see 1.0a as something that's standing in their way. And if they can blur the lines enough between what's actually going on here, a change versus an update, then they can distract everybody and they may get by with it. So I saw that yesterday. So Robert Romano says, I published children for a $9.99 super chat. Thank you very much, Robert. Thank you very much for generosity in being here. I published Children of the Grave under OGL 1.8 earlier today. It's an open AI-driven website RPG using GPT-3, and I have designed the same source code as open game content under 1.0a. Open should be open. I want to talk more about AI, the use of AI in RPGs going forward in the channel. I think that's a really important one. So we need to check that out. Robert, that's something we need to check out on the channel here, because I know the Inner Light's also been working on AI-driven stuff. So I think that's coming. I didn't believe it when Wizard said that they were not working on AI DMs, because there's just, like, in order to be responsible as a company, I think you would have to. Okay, so that was my initial thought, that, hey, we are trying to obfuscate two different things. And this is because... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, I mean, sometimes I think, though, that they're not even necessarily trying to obfuscate it. They're just simply stating a new interpretation of what all of this means, a new interpretation of how this can be read. For example, they're reading the word authorized, which to them says, thus there must be a way to deauthorize. And I think that when they talk about making changes to the OGL, sometimes I think it's not so much obfuscation so much as they're just like going, no, we just think that this is fine, right? They literally think it's okay to do all this. And that's kind of where people are coming back and saying no. So you see what I'm saying? Sort of almost like a deliberate, like, no, we don't think that's how it works.
Okay. Well, that's true. We're not in their head.
Yeah, we're not. We just have to guess.
So I don't know that it's obfuscation, but it sure seems to me this way. Because I would say that if I were intentionally trying to be clear, I would have used different terminology about exactly what is going on.
True.
Because because they're not, if they are really in the dark and if they think that this is all fine and their legal interpretation of what this is so radically different from so many people that we have talked to and all of Paizo and all the rest of the industry, then they should just say that. Then they would say that directly, that they are, as clearly as Paizo said, this is our interpretation. You would think they would say, that's completely wrong. That's not how it is. It is to the contrary. And they don't say that. And so I believe they see that, and Lou brought this up yesterday, the primary competition for 6th edition or 1D&D is existing 5th edition. I think that's completely true. So they have to stop that and get control of it. And they see the open licensing as an obstacle to that. And so they are trying to do something to stop that. And then obviously also they want control of virtual tabletops. They see where all that's going. That's where they want their money to come from all of this. Nephanor for $5 Canadian. Thank you very much, Nephanor. Says, look up the channel AI Wizard. He's talking using AI to help your DMing. Good stuff. Used it to help my fiction writing too. I will look that up too. The AI Wizard. I was thinking about AI DMing in terms of just the AI, but that's another thing we should talk about is how does the AI augment our existing DM stuff? That could be too. So, okay, so they see this as an obstacle and they want to control the virtual tabletop. Okay, so let's go to today's stuff. So let's start with what they say. Have I got that up? Okay, so this is the announcement that was today. They said, for over 20 years, thousands of creators have helped grow the tabletop RPG community using a shared set of game mechanics that are the foundation for their unique worlds and other creations. We don't want that to change, and we've heard loud and clear that neither do you. So we're doing two things. We're giving the core D&D mechanics to the community through a Creative Commons license, which means they are fully in your hands. Which is fine if they want to do that. And we want to look at exactly what they are giving, because it is not the entire SRD. No. Did you take a look at that, Mark?
I did. I looked at it in great detail. Yeah.
Okay.
I spent a lot of time looking at that today.
Okay. Well, we want to when that comes up in the license, I want to bring that up so people can know that it's not that entire 400-page document.
Yeah, and there's a lot of questions that it brings up, as many questions as opportunities. So,
okay, now here they also say if you want to use quintessentially D&D content from the SRD, such as owlbears and magic missiles, OGL 1.2 will provide you a perpetual, irrevocable license to do so. What did you think about this?
I'm not entirely sure how. So I think you could argue that they're saying if you want to use owl bears as they appear in the SRD, you need the license. But things like magic missile and owl bear are not trademark terms. They're not part of their, they're not like carrion crawler or beholder, right? They fall into this different category. And so I'm not sure that they mean the names so much as they're full realization of those things. And that is what they left out of the Creative Commons.
Okay, we should also look then. I was just looking through. Okay, so the owlbear stat block is in the SRD.
It is, but it's not in the Creative Commons portion.
But it's not yet. It is not in the Creative Commons portion.
No, and I think when they say if you want to use owlbears, they don't own owlbear as a concept, as far as I understand it. But they do own, and they're laying claim to the copyright of how owlbears are described, rules wise, stat block, etc. Same with Magic Missile.
Now, Lou had talked about yesterday that saying that they need to be more carrot, that their overall approach needed to be more carrot and less stick, because they were very heavy on the stick in the past. And so if they wanted, because we've been very clear from the beginning that if they want to go forward, do a completely new rule set or something completely different for 6th edition or 1D&D, that's completely their prerogative. They can license it under whatever terms they want to license it. That's no problem. We're talking about the open content and the 1.0A. That's what our concern is. But if they want people to move over to new 6th edition and new rules, and new licenses, then a great way to do that would be to make the rules better, whatever that is, but more for everybody. Oh my God, I got to play by these rules. And then also a license that you go, oh my God, I've got to publish under that license. It'd be great if I could all of a sudden use, and Lou was talking about directly, more product identity. Like maybe I do really want to use U-on-T, and they open up U-on-T under a new license or something like that.
Yep, exactly.
That would be a carrot that they could dangle out and say, well, maybe you want this, come over here.
And that's exactly what this is. They're saying, hey, you want to use our owlbears and Magic Missile as they appear today, or use our spell lists? You've got to use the license. But we'll let you use that whole spell list and all those monsters.
The spells are not under the Creative Commons.
And they're not. They're under number 2 there.
So what they're doing is they're taking what the entire SRD was open content. That is open content, is released under open content under 1.0A, and now they are trying to make a division here by dividing up the SRD and saying, here's the Creative Commons part, and then hey, here's the part that the other parts, if you want it, hey, it's under 1.2.
No, actually, actually what they're doing here is they're making the Creative Commons piece have additional options. So they're adding options for creators. So I'm just going to say up front, I'm not a fan of the license as it appears today. However, it's not all terrible, right? Like in this case, they're actually giving you an additional option. On the old days under 1.0A, all you had was number 2. But now they've added number 1. So now they've given you 2 ways that you could do it.
And that's very similar to Fate. Like, for instance, the Fate core book, they license under 1.0A, or you can license under the Creative Commons. So they give you 2 options there. And so that's possible. Okay, so then they say Creative Commons.
They're giving you 2 options.
So some of the content is 2 options. Creative Commons is a nonprofit dedicated to sharing knowledge, and it developed a set of licenses to let creators do that. The Creative Commons license we picked lets us give everyone those core mechanics forever. Because we don't control the license, which we argue they did when it was under the open gaming license. But then releasing the D&D core rules under the Creative Commons will be a decision that we can never change, which we think has already been done. But okay. So let's talk OGL 1.2 and the important ways it's different from 1.0A. First, it allows us to address hateful content. We're going to talk a lot about that. Second, it only applies to published tabletop RPG content, including VTTs. Third, this license specifically includes the word irrevocable. What's not there? No royalty payment, no financial reporting, no license back, no registration, no distinction between commercial and non-commercial. Nothing will impact any content you've already published under OGL 1.0A. That will always be licensed under 1.0A. Your stuff is your stuff. What they seem to be forgetting here is that you can use 1.0A to make your own stuff open game content, and that perpetuates down the line. So we'll talk about that. I think
we're saying that. They're saying that's not true. They're saying that once they deauthorize it, 1.0A can only be used for things that have already been published. Right. That's what they're saying. We're each saying different things, right? They're saying something different than the community. So.
Right. Yes. Okay. Because okay. So let's make sure we're clear on our understanding, because this is my understanding. Okay, so let's say I've got a book that has got, as using the open game content, like, for instance, Blackhack RPG. Last Tuesday, we were looking at the Blackhack RPG, and actually, I can bring that up right over here just so that you can see. This is, well, not that one. Well, I used to, oh no, it's right here. Okay, this is the Blackhack RPG right here. So we liked this one on one of the Tuesdays, one of the morning grinds we looked at, and we said, oh hey, look, Blackhack actually licenses itself under 1.0a. So if you want to use it, you can use it. So Blackhack has already been published under 1.0a, and if you want to use their stuff, they say the name Blackhack, additional things, and all artwork, logos, and layout are product identity. I can probably. So they say they're very generous. They say the Blackhack additional things are all artwork, logos, and layout are product identity, which means you cannot use it, but that all text and tables are open game content.
Yeah.
Very generous of them. So you can use that and license that as well. So if I found a copy of Blackhack, knew nothing about Dungeons and Dragons, knew nothing about Hasbro or WotC's, but I found a copy of Blackhack, I could open it up and I could look at the back and I go, look, oh my God, look at this license for open gaming content. Look at all this stuff I can use. And then I could go publish something based on that material. And I wouldn't ever have to worry that, oh, did Blackhack, the company that runs Blackhack, whoever that is, did they deauthorize this license for this book? Because that's never going to happen. Like
right.
We're talking about
the problem. Yeah.
Yeah. See, yeah, we're talking about can WotC deauthorize the whole thing, but that whole issue becomes also more clear, like, and how difficult this whole thing is, because that also means that any individual publisher can't deauthorize or revoke the OGL once they've published it. You never have to worry, gee, did the guy who wrote the Blackhack like tweet sometime, hey, I'm revoking and deauthorizing the OGL for the Blackhack book? You never have to worry about that because there's no provision for that. So that applies to everybody equally, including, I argue, Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro. I mean, you never have to worry about it. If you see this license in the back of the book, it would say in it, hey, also please check, but hey, this license is revocable at any time by the publisher. Be sure to check their website to be sure they haven't decided, hey, we're revoking it.
Yeah.
You never have to worry about that. So if I found a copy of Blackhack, let's say they try to do whatever they're trying to do next week or whatever, but I find this copy of Blackhack in 3 years, I have no idea what's going on. I could take that that book, the terms of the license, and publish a whole new book that completely validly. And so that's why it makes no sense to say we're deauthorizing 1.0a, because other people are using it. I mean, it's something that's out there. It can be used. It's a license that's out there.
Yeah, and that's their line in their sand. That's their alternative facts that they're trying to come up with, where they're sort of saying, like, actually, we think we can. And it's up to you to prove us wrong, right? That's what they're trying to say. But it's not necessarily true. It could be the other way around. If people just keep using 1.0a, it would be up to them to prove that we shouldn't be.